What do you do in your spare time? Are you able to answer that question with anything that is going to add interest or relatability to your personal brand? In today's episode, I want to talk about how your hobbies can work for you, how you can do what you love while also using your hobbies to elevate the value of your personal brand for your business, your career, or even your social life. I'm going to be sharing 6 tips on how you can do that. So grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. There is a saying that you've probably heard of that says, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." The interpretation behind this is that when you are all work and no play, you have the potential to not only start to get bored, but to also be boring to other people. So ask yourself if you want to come across as a boring personal brand. This always on, hustle at all cost culture can perpetuate what I think can be potentially boring personal brands because you lose a lot of the things that can make you interesting to other people, that can make you relatable. They might just be intrigued by what you do in your spare time, or they themselves might enjoy doing the same things. And it gives you a chance to connect on a deeper level outside what you do for your work. Having hobbies can also directly benefit your work because it allows you to create non-linear thinking that can help you to find creative solutions to your problems. So really, work doesn't work without play. So let's dive into my first tip. Tip number 1 is to be a less vanilla personal brand. If I was to ask you what you think the most boring ice cream flavor is, I'm going to guess that you would say vanilla. Yes, it is classic. Yes, it is consistent. But compared to its neighbors in the ice cream shop, it is just the essence of ice cream. It lacks texture and personality and depth. Now, imagine that the ice cream shop is your marketplace or your social circle. When you have no interests or hobbies, you come across as a stronger shade of vanilla. It's like that first date question, what do you do in your spare time? I'm going to guess that if you said nothing, that you might feel a little bit embarrassed because by having hobbies and interests, you add context to your personality. You add a way for people to see who you are behind the scenes of just your work. It is sometimes easy to blame a lack of connection that you might be feeling with the people around you on cliques or mean girls or boys clubs, but cliques and clubs can form for a reason because people are often united under their common interests or values and beliefs, their hobbies. So, by having hobbies, you increase your chance of being able to connect with your people who share your interests and share your hobbies. And maybe you already have hobbies, but you're not actually highlighting them to anyone around you. Or maybe you don't have any hobbies at all. In which case, then stick around till the end of this episode because I'm going to be sharing the hobbies that I find have the highest return on investment for you mentally and physically. At the very least, having hobbies, no matter what they are going to help to build intrigue for your personal brand. Tip number 2 is enjoy doing what you love, even when it seems seemingly completely irrelevant to your work. I personally started to think about hobbies a lot more when I read the book Originals by Adam Grant. In it, he really advocates for having high-value hobbies because hobbies have been the defining trait amongst inventors and entrepreneurs. Those who start businesses were more likely to have interests in drawing, painting, sculpture, architecture, or literature. He says that People who are open to new ways of looking at science and business also tend to be fascinated by the expression of ideas and emotions through images, sounds, and words. A really great example of this is Galileo when he made his discovery of mountains on the moon. And it wasn't actually his telescope that is credited for this because it didn't have the magnifying power. Instead, he recognized the zigzag patterns that separated the light and dark areas. And he was able to make this discovery because he was trained in a very specific artistic field that focuses on light and shade. Tip number 3 is to collect and connect your dots. Steve Jobs used to advocate for having broad life experiences. He famously attended Reed College before dropping out, but he would still go to classes for a while that he was most interested in. And one of those was calligraphy. He absolutely loved it, but he didn't see any practical application for it in his life at the time. That wasn't until about 10 years later, when what he learnt in that class helped to underpin the beautiful Mac design that we now know. Jobs used to advocate for having interdisciplinary talents for collecting dots in lots of areas. He believed that this was the best way to design. He said, a lot of people in our industry haven't had very diverse experiences, so they don't have enough dots to connect. And they end up with very linear solutions without a broad perspective on the problem. The broader one's understanding of the human experience, the better design we will have. Tip number 4 is to build interdisciplinary thinking. This is something that the authors of The Unfair Advantage, Ash Ali and Hussan Kuba, talk about in their book. And they summarize this beautifully when they say that creativity is largely about training your mind to connect things you learn in one domain to situations that seem completely unrelated. This is known as intersectional or interdisciplinary thinking. So by having hobbies, you start to form knowledge that is really specialized to you because it is based on your unique combination of interests. This is something that Naval Ravikant would talk about as being your specific knowledge. It's knowledge that is specialized to you. It is very difficult for other people to replicate because it is based on your unique combination of interests. So by having these unique combinations of interests, you start to build out a category of one that separates you from the rest of the marketplace. Tip number 5 is to highlight your hobbies. People can't connect with you on things that they don't know about. So find a way to weave your hobbies into your personal brand, either in person or online. Find a way to integrate it into your storytelling. A lot of people can sometimes shy away from the idea of sharing what they might do outside of work as part of their personal brand or as part of their professional brand. But as Michael Hyatt sums up really beautifully in his book Free to Focus, we have 3 stages. There is the front stage, which is what people normally see us do in our work. It's what we actually do when we are performing. It's what's visible to other people. Then we have our backstage. That is all of the work that goes into us being able to show up on that front stage. But then we also have our offstage, and this is all of the things that is seemingly unrelated to our work, but allows us to be able to show up on those other 2 stages. And by sharing your offstage activities, you are able to provide context about the person behind the work. The people that connect with your hobbies might connect with you because they share the same hobbies, or maybe it is because they aspire to also having those same hobbies, or maybe they don't actually have an interest in those particular hobbies at all, but it allows them to trigger an emotional response in the way that they are perceiving your personal brand. And as we know, people buy emotionally first and then they rationalize with logic. Tip number 6 is to create a community around your hobby. If you want to go all in on your hobby, or if you just want to practice in public, consider how you might be able to build a community around your hobby. This will give you a way to connect with like-minded people. You might want to establish a community online around your hobby and connect with other enthusiasts, or you might want to create an event that is based around your hobby. This might just be in your personal life, or it might be attached to some of your business activities, or you might like to establish a club around your hobby. By having a community around your hobby outside of the usual business meetings or events, you create a way to deepen your relationships with people in a way that sits outside the normal 9 to 5 activities that they would normally be used to. You are able to establish trust in a unique way. If you are looking for ideas for hobbies, I promised that I would share hobbies that I think are high value hobbies, or hobbies with a great return on investment for you, physically or mentally. The first one should come as no surprise to anyone who has followed this channel, and that is reading. Not only do I love reading just for the sake of reading and improving my knowledge, but reading has also been shown to improve your problem-solving skills and your analytical skills. And as another nice plus, it helps to reduce stress by 68%. The second one that I would recommend is playing an instrument. I love playing the piano, but I also love that it has been said that playing an instrument helps to improve the connection between the left and right centers of your brain. It also helps to increase the gray matter in various other areas of your brain. And the other thing that can help to thicken different areas of your brain is yoga. Yoga has been said to thicken the areas of your brain that are responsible for your information processing, as well as your learning and memory centers. And finally, I would recommend learning a second language, which is what I am currently doing. Learning a second language, amongst other things, is said to help to improve your working memory. And to give you just some other ideas, you might like to consider picking up a craft. Maybe it is painting, drawing, sculpting, knitting, maybe it's woodwork or leatherwork. Or maybe like me, you might like to pick up sewing. I am currently trying to dust off the old sewing machine and to get back into what I believe is another high value hobby. You might also consider learning a new technology. Maybe it's videography, photography, or graphic design. Maybe you want to start to share your unique point of view online and consider your own blog, YouTube channel, or podcast to be able to do that. Maybe you want to dabble more in cooking or gardening, or playing a sport, or doing a particular form of exercise or recreation. Whatever it is, use hobbies as a way to not only build your creativity, your interdisciplinary thinking, but potentially also connect you with your people. Thank you so much. For more like this, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next episode.